Well, welcome back to Hunter Logan Unmiked. Of course, you know I'm Hunter Logan. Who else would it be? Just kidding. I don't even know if that's even funny anymore. We are in the month of June of 2014. Now, I'm going to try to cover about 3 or 4 things. To start out here, let me get right into it. We had to do a fundraiser. We kept having to upgrade so much because we were growing. We were continually growing, and we're still growing, but I mean, like, we had to go from our home server, which we were using, which was borrowed, by the way, and from the previous podcast, you know what I'm talking about. So we had to get to where we could be on a bigger server because people were getting knocked off. So many people were starting to listen. So our little server was crashing, so we had to get on a bigger server, but we also needed better equipment. Needed a better board, because this was our second board. It was all used stuff, right? We kept getting used stuff, but each used piece of equipment we get was better than the last piece of used equipment we had. But now we needed a new computer. We needed new computers, plural. Needed some mics. I already had the RE20, which is the broadcast standard mic that folks use on the radio. But I wanted to have that for the guests as well. I mean, I looked at it this way. A carpenter doesn't go out and get a $10 hammer. He gets an $80, $90 hammer because he uses it every day. Well, same with a microphone. I'm using it every day. Not only am I doing the morning show, but I'm doing voiceovers. I'm doing commercials for other radio stations and stuff too. So it gets used a lot. And I wanted to get that for our guests when they come in. I wanted to have that as well. So it would sound great. I wanted to have great quality radio. I wanted our imaging to be just like a big FM station. And it is. And has been. So we need a board. We need some mics. We need some computers. And we also need the software for the BSI, because we're using cracked software now. I mean, we're having to use the version that we don't have a license for. So it's time to get the real stuff. But that in itself, by itself, is $1,500. So we're having to raise with the board, the computers, the mics. I want to say we had to raise, I think it was about $8,000 we needed to raise. And I'm including flying Roger down because Roger has to hook all this up. Roger Barkley with Barkley Music and Media. He has to come down, hook all this stuff up, show me how to run it. Because he's the one who does all our stuff. And if he knows how it's hooked up, then with a phone call or logging in, he can do it. And if there's something that physically has to be done, he knows how it's hooked up because he hooked it up, so he can say, Hunter, go here, do this, or go unplug this, whatever, and it will be done because he remembers how it was done. Now, the amount was pledged to be raised, but about $450 of the pledges didn't come in. So we opted out not to get the production computer since it was the newest one, or the newest piece of equipment we had out of what we had. And I milked that thing for as long as I could till the next upgrade. We got everything else except the computer for production. During this time, I was getting sick while we're starting to raise this money. And my voice is going, and I'm starting to get a little, starting to feel a little rough. I can remember driving and coughing so hard that I blacked out just for a minute and came back, and it kind of scared me. And I guess it was just for a few seconds or whatever, and I kept on going. But either that night or that morning, I'd got up and I'd coughed again, and I guess I blacked out long enough that I fell and hit the wall in the bedroom. And my wife said, that's it, you're going to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, and sure enough, they admitted me into the hospital. I had pneumonia. I had been on the go so much and working so much, I didn't realize that I was dehydrated and not getting the proper amount of rest. It had just been work, 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 work. And you can do so much ministry, right? You can do so much ministry that you can forget about you need to rest. Now, during all this time, and we're not talking just over a period of a month. I mean, we're talking, since the first of the year, probably, because I was flying, I flew to Pennsylvania, a couple of trips to Nashville. We had a couple of trips to Missouri. I think we had a trip to Missouri and to Texas, and we're going a lot of other places. Some stuff I didn't mention probably in some of the podcasts, because there was a few more award shows that we went to. Georgia, there was a trip to Georgia. It's just trips, traveling, working. I was trying to get stuff done. Well, there was Florida, man. I mean, it's a lot of traveling, a lot of working, and it just was finally taking its toll on me. So I got ran down, ended up getting pneumonia, and they admitted me to the hospital. So I was off for a whole week and didn't do the morning show for a whole week, which was rare because I never miss. I'll come in sick and do the morning show. I rarely miss doing the morning show. Of course, I have replays that I can do when I can't do it. And that's what I did that week. And then the week that I'm sick, man, I remember I was having to deal with, I can barely talk. And there was this one artist call and just raising Cain with me. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Here I am, sick, and you want to raise Cain with me about the Christian Country Cafe, and worried about if we're going to want me to pay for a seat for your guitar to fly, and all kind of just crazy stuff. I'm telling you, it was crazy. And I'm in no more shape to talk about this stuff or anything like that. But neither is my guys. And I tell my guys, I'm talking about the guys like Brian and Nate, Steve, and all that. When they get a hold of these guys on social media and start hounding them, I'm like, you refer them to me. Well, God bless Brian, because Brian was trying to not refer to me because he knew I was sick. But he said, man, I don't know what to do. I'll take care of it. That's not their place to do that. I'm like, everybody knew I was sick. Everybody knew I was out. And then they're going to push like this. It was just crazy. Well, that artist is no longer doing Christian country or anything like that. So, I got some stories about some artists now. Poof. Anyway, it's for a whole nother time, place. So I get better. I'm out the hospital. I was only in there for about 3 days. I'm better. Back at this radio station. During that time, I lined up the flights for Roger to come down. Roger comes down. During that time, I also ordered the equipment, since we had the money. Ordered the board, the computers, the mics, all that stuff, software. So Roger comes down, fly him in, and we start hooking up everything and get everything done. Everything goes well. We have a great visit. Everything's working good. Now, during this time, remember I told you that this radio station, and I did this in an earlier podcast, I told you this radio station cost us. And when I said it cost us, me and my wife, our house was going into foreclosure. Our vehicles, both of them, were getting repossessed. It took me an extra year on both of them to get them paid off. I had to work with the finance companies for them. Just calling every day, and they would call every day. And I mean, literally every day. You're going to make a payment. And I would say, listen, I don't have it. When it comes in, I'll get it to you. I would remind them that, listen, the car's worth more to me than it is to you. But the PT Cruiser went out. Like, it just went out. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. Thought it might have been the brain. Spent the last $600 we had on it, and it wasn't that. I'll jump ahead on some stuff on that car, though. By the time we got rid of that car, and the person we got rid of it to put a new transmission in and all kind of stuff, it wasn't that. It ended up being a short. It just ended up being a short in a wire. That's what it was. But anyway, during the time of this car, we're not having it, we needed a van for the station. We did, because we're starting to, we're traveling. We're going to Nashville. We're going to Missouri. We're going to all these award shows. We're going to places. And we need a van because we need to be able to haul the equipment, and we need to be able to haul some people too, because like Brian would always come with me. Usually I'd pick him up at the airport. We'd fly in together. We'd meet at the airport, rent a car. But we needed a van, something we could travel in and carry equipment. For the radio station, when we could do remotes and stuff. And I am struggling about calling this out over the air. I am. I know the Lord's dealing with me, and He's saying, do it. He's saying, do it. And I am having problems doing it. I'm like, I don't know. It's a lot. It's a big step for me. Because this is the first major big step of faith for me. Like, I'm going to call out thin air for a van. I'm like, God, we just did a fundraiser. I just asked for $8,000. And now I'm going to ask for a van for the station? I'm like, ooh, man. Boy, I could feel the Lord convicting me to do it. So I'm going to activate my faith, right? That's what I'm going to do. And finally, I just do it. I'm like, I can't fight it anymore. I just do it. So there's these 7 keys of faith I give. I said, I'm going to activate my faith this morning. I said, Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. I said, 2 Corinthians 5:7 says, for we walk by faith, not by sight. Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Romans 10:17 says, so then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not into thine own understanding. 1 John 5:14 says, and this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he heareth us. And James 1:3 says, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. So I said, folks, we need a van for the station. And I said, not just any van. I said, I want a van. I can see the inside. I want all leather interior. I want front and rear air and cruise control. I said, I can see it in my mind. Now, I didn't have enough faith for a brand new van. So I didn't call out a brand new van. But I called out a van with leather interior, front and rear air, all that cruise control, loaded. That's what I said. That's what I called out. And that's what I did. Called it out like that. Here's where I messed up a little bit. After I did that, I said, but even if God doesn't do it, he's still faithful. And that's what I said. So I go to church the next, I think that was Thursday or Friday I did that. So Sunday morning, I'm singing a special in church. And I hadn't been going to the church very long, so I didn't really know the people there yet. I didn't know them a whole bunch. I hadn't been there very long. And as I'm singing the song, I don't know what song it was, I stop and I give the testimony about what I said over the air about activating my faith and calling out for the van. So I get a call Monday from a gentleman in the church who his son owns a car lot. I didn't know that. I had no clue. Had no clue whatsoever that gentleman's son had a car lot. So he asked me, he says, you need a van? I'm like, yeah. And he says, well, what can you pay? I said, honestly, nothing. He said, what? I said, well, right now, he said, you can't even pay $100 a month or something like that. I said, not really. I said, we're in a bind. And we were in a serious bind. I mean, it's that time where we're barely getting by, keeping the doors open. My wife's working a full-time job, still trying to pay off that little green car we had. And the red car ain't paid off yet. I still got to pay the red car off, even though it ain't running. I think I got I think I got about 3 or 4 payments left on it, or maybe even 6 payments left on it. I don't know. He says, well, let me see what I can do. And after he got to talking to me, though, he was asking me about the radio station. I told him everything about the radio station. And I'll never forget this. He says, you don't need a handout, you just need a hand up. And it was true. I didn't need a handout. I just needed a hand up. I just need a little bit of help till we could get on our feet. And I never forgot that. And that man would end up being a great help to this ministry until he passed on, God bless his soul. He calls me back. He says, man, we got a little van here. Should have it. Looks like it's going to be perfect for what you're going to need. We'll work out the details later. So it was a GMC Astro. And I looked at it, man. Boy, it looked good. It was nice. A picture of it. I mean, I didn't see it in person. But there was always something wrong. Why? It was some little nicknoid thing. You couldn't get it. I can't remember what it was, but it was something stupid. Oh, this wasn't right, or something this. We couldn't get it. This couldn't happen. This couldn't. Something. Always something stupid. We couldn't get it. Because this is 3 months now of, well, it was ready. And, well, we got to do this, or he's got to check this out. I mean, like points or something. Just time. Just little nicknoid stuff. So I went back and I said, okay, God, what did I miss here? And then I went back and played, because I saved the show. I went back and played what I did when I called out the van in faith. And I realized what I did. I said, even if he doesn't, he's still faithful. And that's where I messed up, because I gave God an out. I didn't do it with no doubt. It's like, okay, if it doesn't happen, it's okay. No. When you call out something in faith, you've got to believe it 100%. You've got to know that 100% that that's going to happen. There's no ifs, ands. There's no, well, if it doesn't, it's okay. It's got to happen. You've got to believe it with all your heart. So I got back on the air, and I repented of that. And I said, listen, I called this out 3 months ago, but I said I messed up. So I'm calling it out again. There's no, if it don't happen, it's going to happen. It has to. There's no doubt. I said, I believe we're going to have one. Within 2 days, it was 2 days, I believe it was, I get a phone call. Come pick up your van. But it wasn't the GMC Astro. It was the 2002 Honda Odyssey is what it was. And man, that thing had power doors. When I opened it up, the leather interior, it was just like I had pictured in my mind. The picture that I had in my mind, I'd never seen a Honda Odyssey before, but what I'd pictured in my mind was just like, that's just what I'd seen. Leather seats, heated leather seats at that, front and rear air. There was drop down cameras or a TV screen. I mean, this thing was loaded. I mean, it was loaded. Power doors, click of a button and they open up. Just loaded, man. Nice. And that thing, it went forever. I mean, we put close to 100,000 miles on that thing. Or we put over 100,000 miles on that thing. And the transmission started making a knocking sound. So we figured it's time to get another vehicle for the station. Well, I had enough faith this time to go for a new one. But since that one was given to us, I went ahead and blessed somebody with it. And then those folks went ahead, when they got a new one, they blessed somebody else with it. I seen that thing, it's still running. That van is still running today. Seen it in the Walmart parking lot the other day. And the way I knew, my wife had backed in to some kind of post or something, and it cracked the back. And then the dents that were on the door and the fender were still there too. When I'd got it, they had some. They were still there. That's how I knew it was the same one. It's amazing, man. God is faithful and God is good. And he has done many, many miracles here at HLE Radio and will continue to. So I'm going to leave it right there for now. When we come back on the next episode, I'll have to see where we're at, because I'm not sure. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Remember to check out HLEradio.com. There's a store on there too. If you want some merchandise with HLE Radio, you can get it. We also launched a brand new station, SaddleUpRadio.com. Check that out. I'm live every Monday through Friday. The morning show, free apps are in your Apple or Google Play. for HLE Radio. This podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, until next time, God bless you.